Hey again guys, this is part 3, week 3 of my 3D Warhound Titan build, and yeah, we're coming along. We're getting close to the end. I can sort of see the end of the tunnel here. So what I've been up to this week is I have been finalising the colour scheme on the legs and torso. This bottom part still needs another coat to brighten it up. But just been getting the legs set up where I want them, the feet set up where I want them, to have a little bit of a pose, but still be stable. The main torso has gone through its next stage of paint, and I'll be working on the highlights and shading and stuff a little later. But we've got that all set up. The underside, the weapon mounts are set up, and we've gotten as far as basing the weapons themselves and just working on what I'm going to do with the connectors. At this point I'm going to glue the top part into the mounts and then magnetize the bottom part and the connected there on the weapon itself. And so if you want to change out weapons, you can just take that off, put it to the side, rather than have to print out another piece. So I've got the Vulcan Mega Bolter and the Plasma Blast Gun. There's also a file there for a turbo laser, so I'll probably print that off as an option as well. One of the things I have found a little tricky with this build was the shin guards in particular. There wasn't an explicitly clear way to mount the shin armor, so it was kind of like a best guess, and just using reference pictures from the internet and just putting it where it sort of felt right, and then you're sort of angling it where it's going to not be knocking the feet too much, or the feet are going to restrict it. And I think you might be able to see this little blue panel under here, which is part of the actual shin. I think in future I could probably take those off or not print those, because they sort of force the shin guard itself to flex, and I don't know that they are actually required. Same on this side, they actually just kind of get in the way when you're trying to position it. But that's really been the only issue that I've had. With the leg joints, I've just put a bit of plastic rod in there and just drilled out the piece in the hip there, and that just adds to a little bit of stability. And so once I've got everything sort of exactly where I want it, I can glue that up finally. But for the moment I'm just keeping it so I can adjust it a little bit, just to do with the balance. Up here on the waist piece, it didn't fit flush to the connector underneath. It's just a hole basically. So I just used some duct tape, and why wouldn't you? Just to sort of increase the girth on that, and that can now slot in to there, provide a stable base that's still adjustable, still plenty of friction there. And even if it wears out, it's like duct tape, it's nothing too difficult to try and get a hold of. So there we go, it's pretty stable. Let me just, sorry about the hand. There we go. Pretty stable so far. I have done some testing with some blue tack with the weapon mounts, and it holds quite nicely. So again, the plan is to glue this part into here, and so you can just swap it out like so. It is designed so that you can sort of swivel it and mount it. I don't know that I need to do too much with that. I mean, it might look a little dull just hanging straight, but yeah, I don't know. I'll play around with that, because you could get, you know, some different poses. It's too bad it's not an actual proper ball joint that you could actually adjust, but you can get some subtle play there to show, you know, it's advancing or walking or aiming or things like that. Also with the head, I would have liked to have been able to have done a similar sort of thing where you could adjust it and turn it, but because it's not a proper ball joint, couldn't really do that, so I've just got in a sort of standard straight pose. But at least the torso is movable, so you can sort of angle it, you know, based on the foot posing. It looks like it's advancing. So, you know, I think that'll be well enough. So yeah, all in all, it's pretty sturdy, pretty stable. I like how it's turned out so far. The only sort of issues, again, as I've mentioned with 3D printing, is the print lines. But depending how much work you put into that, you can almost make them disappear. Sorry, that was my compressor going off. So yeah, just need to finish up the paint scheme there. And I'm also looking at the heraldry for the Legio Tempestus. Now I've got a couple of pictures there that I think that I can use and print out as transfers, which I could either put on the waist guard, or on the legs, or on the torso itself. So yeah, we're getting pretty close to finish there, or at the very least a tabletop standard. And I'm pretty pleased with how it's turned out. It's you know, a great looking, you know, proxy figure. So that's where we're at. It's really hasn't taken me too long once I've been able to sort of get started on it. But I think once it gets all the extra highlights and the details and everything set up, it's going to look pretty rad. So there we go, that's a quick update. Everything's been pretty straightforward, as I said, just except for the shin plates. Everything else has just been pretty nice, which is one of the benefits of a simplified kit, which would be great for your beginners. But yeah, we'll probably just have one more vid on this once it's finished up. And yeah, looking forward to stomping this guy around. So there we go. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.